What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Fancier RDA and RTA combo. Alright guys, so the random question of the day is simple today. It's just Pepsi or Coke. Which one do you drink and why? Let me know right down there in the comments box below. Personally, I'm going to have to go with Coca-Cola over Pepsi Cola as far as the main category there, but overall I think Pepsi products do win. And with that, I really don't drink a lot of soda, so it's not very often I actually drink those two beverages. I'm more of an iced tea fan myself, but hey, maybe that's just me. I want to hear from you guys right down there in the comments box below. I'm sure it's going to be a heated debate. So today we've got the Fancier RTA and RDA combo by Uwell to take a look at, with a big huge shout out and thank you going to Uwell for allowing me to take a look at this device for the purpose of making this video. So this is an interesting one from Uwell because they're not really known for their rebuildable devices. Most of the time when you say the word Uwell, people are going to think of the Nunchaku or the Valerian or the Crown series of tanks, not necessarily the Fancier or their rebuildable products. But with that being said, it's both a combination RTA and RDA, so you get 2 for 1 with this device here. So taking a quick look online, this device comes in 6 different color options for you to choose from. You have black, gold, iridescent, purple, sapphire blue, and stainless steel. I of course have the sapphire blue version, as you can see here. And with that, it's going to run you anywhere from about 25 to 30 bucks, which I think is a really good deal because you're getting 2 for 1 with this one, an RDA and an RTA. So if you guys want to pick one of these up for yourself, I'll leave a link right down there in the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive down to the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got the Fancier in its original box, so let's quickly take a look around the packaging and then we'll talk about what's inside. So yes, I am actually holding this thing closed because once you take the tape off, it likes to pop open. As you can see, it's got this big ass nicotine warning right there, which is required for the EU and UK markets. I picked this one up at Vape Expo UK, so that's why it has that on there, but I'm pretty sure the American ones do not. There you can see the tank right inside the package, which is really nice. And otherwise, it has the Fancier Uwell logo right down there at the bottom with RTA and RDA 2 for 1. On the back side here, we have the package contents, all legal disclaimers and warnings and company information and all that mumbo jumbo there. On the bottom section, we have the UPC and myuwell.com. And let's just go ahead and take off this top part here. So here we have the actual tank itself, which we'll be taking a look at in just a second. We have a little plastic divider piece, and then we have this warning card, which is kind of mysterious because it's, you know, basic and, you know, it doesn't have any words on it, so it's pull your cotton up, but not that high. Clip it even with the little thing. I guess that's what it's getting at. You know, words tend to help, and, you know, you could put this one in the manual or something like that. Maybe it was a little bit of an afterthought. There we go. So we have a spare glass section in this little foam here. So we get a spare glass, and this one has little white markings or clear markings on it instead of the black on the tank. So that's kind of neat. Gives you something a little bit different. We have a little package of cotton. We have a little wrenchy tool thing, a tech deck screwdriver as I like to call it. A couple of coils, pre-mades. Not the greatest looking coils, but I guess they're passable. We have a spare pin. This might be a squonk pin. Yeah, it looks like a squonk pin, yeah. So it's a squonk pin for the RDA mode, and you get a spare set of screws as well. We get a couple of sets of colored O-rings if you want to switch it up a little bit. That's kind of nice. I like that. And in the bottom, we have the RDA top cap. So if you want to change this thing into an RDA, boom, there you go. You get a little top cap with it as well. Feels really nice and solid. No complaints about that whatsoever. We also have a user manual, booklet style, on the thicker side, but I'm sure that's because there's 18 different languages in it. Some color graphics. Printing is a little bit on the smaller side, but not bad. And I'd say it's passable. And last but not least, we have this big attention warning card, all the different warnings. So yes, be aware, read this thoroughly if you get one of these things. And that is that. Alright guys, let's talk about the specs. First of all, it's 24 millimeters in diameter. It holds 4 mils of e-liquid, high quality stainless steel construction, Pyrex glass reinforcement, elegant grooved structure, unique central piece design with spit-back protection. It's capable of transforming it into an RDA, gold-plated build deck, 2-post dual terminal design with side-secured hex screws, innovative downward wicking, single or dual coil configurations, threaded top fill method with a large fill port, quad external bottom airflow with a knurled design, pin, dual internal air tubes, 810 PEI wide bore drip tip included, squonk ready 510 pin included, and it has a gold plated 510 connection. Alright guys, let's go over some of the finer points of the Fancier. Starting off with the drip tip up top here. Pretty much your standard 810 PEI tip. You can see no O-ring at the bottom. Nice wide bore at the top and matching on the bottom there. And just to show you guys, it is in fact 810 compatible, but when we go to put this Dead Rabbit tip in, it fits, but it sticks up. You can see the gap right there at the top. Not a big fan of that whatsoever, and unfortunately most of my drip tips are like that, so boo. You can see the little O-ring on the inside lip there, and you can see the bore straight down the middle, right down to the coils, and the little engraving on the top cap section, which does add a little tiny bit of grip, which is nice. So I'll just undo that. Big flat O-ring or rubber piece at the top section there to prevent leaking, and it does a good job, so there you go. And one fill port. Not too keen on that. Wish it had two so the air could escape, but not sure why they went with one on this thing here. So there you go. There's your one fill port. You can see on the bottom side the juice flow holes, and you can remove this glass, but it is very, very, very difficult. It took me about 15 minutes to get this piece of glass off, and it was just kind of wiggling it and wiggling it and wiggling it, because this thing came with the TPD plug that usually comes in the larger than 2 mil tanks. So I had to get that out of there because I like myself a bigger tank. And it took me about 15 minutes to get the glass off, so not the best thing there. I mean, yeah, it's secure and it's not going to fall off, but they make it really difficult to change. So looking down on this thing, it looks a little bit funky, and you know what? It is, because those are actually the cotton tails. That's where the juice flows into to get inside the coils. And there we can see they're hanging upside down, which is really funky and kind of cool. Actually, I do like it. It's just a different sort of design, and I think it's pretty innovative. So here's the build deck with my coils removed, and as you can see, it's kind of a funky design, kind of a velocity sort of style, and bottom airflow. You can see the airflow holes coming up from the bottom side there. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's got this big old like halo or whatever you want to call it on top of there. And if you want to make this thing into a dripper, it is super duper easy. All you got to do is pop the other cap on. There you go. Now it's a dripper. Simple as that. That is something I like about this thing. And with that, you have the bottom airflow holes, which are of course fully adjustable. And there are 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you get this sort of pattern going around the outside of that section as well. And on the bottom, we have your typical markings from Uwell Fancier, myuwell.com. The gold-plated pin, which of course is replaceable with the squonk pin if you want to turn this thing into a squonker. So there you go, the Uwell Fancier in a nutshell. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Starting off with the pros, my first pro is the unique design. Now there's a few other RDTA and RDA combos out there on the market, but not very many RTA and RDA combos. And with that, I feel like Uwell was thinking outside the box with this one here. They wanted to try something really different, and I appreciate their efforts for kind of pushing the envelope of what's possible with vape technology. And you know what? You just have to give them that little bit of credit, because not many people are trying what they did with this one here. My second pro for this one is the value for your money. Now this one, like I said in the intro, is 25 to 30 bucks, so it's really on the cheaper side. And if you're on a tight budget, this one here will provide you with 2 different devices in one. If you're on the go, you can have the RTA section attached. If you are at home and just hanging out and chilling, then you could use it as an RDA as well. So if you're strapped for cash and you want both, then this is definitely a good device for you. And my third and final pro for this device is the flavor is decent. Now, I'm not saying it's spectacular, it's not knock your socks off good or anything like that, but I would say it's a little bit better than average, and that's more than you can say for half of the devices that cost twice as much. So with that in mind, I think it's going to be great for the people that want to try something a little bit different, but don't want to spend a whole lot of money on 2 separate devices. And with this one here, it's only 25 bucks, so if you just want to experiment with it, then I think it's worth it. Alright guys, so moving on to the cons, my first con is that it's not the easiest thing in the world to build. Now granted, I've been building for about 4 years now, so for me personally it wasn't that much of a challenge, but if you're planning on getting one of these things just to mess around with, you're going to have to be a slightly better than average builder just to manipulate your wire. It's kind of like the Nudge 24 where you just had to find that sweet spot for your coils and just manipulate it just right in order to make it work. And if you're planning on getting this thing for your first ever rebuildable, I would think again. My second con for this one is that it has a tendency to leak. Now I've got these wicking ports stuffed with as much cotton as I can possibly fit in there, and a few drops of juice still manage to get all the way down inside the airflow section, so that every time I go to have a vape on this thing, I tilt it towards me and a couple drops come out, which is really annoying. And it's especially true if you let it sit for a couple of days. You go to pick it up and it's just going to dump juice out on you, which is super duper annoying and super duper messy. My third con today is pretty much the entire upper section. First of all, the drip tip does not sit flush with the top cap section, so if you're planning on using your own drip tip that might be a little bit wider or a little bit narrower than the drip tip that's included, it's going to look pretty darn ugly. Not that that makes a difference with the function of the device whatsoever, but it is kind of aesthetically unpleasing. The second thing is a screw-off top cap for refilling. I just find those annoying. You guys know this by now. And third, it's the single fill port. Not sure why they did a single fill port on this one, because on all of their other tanks, they have these very large open fill ports, and it's really easy to fill their tanks with. But this one here, only one fill port, no room for the air to escape, and super difficult to use with a glass stripper bottle. And my fourth and final con for this device is that the airflow feels turbulent. Now, it has 4 airflow slots all the way around the device, which is great, but they are on the smaller side, so I feel like it's almost kind of pressurizing the air as it's going in, and there's just kind of something blocking it. It's not enough room inside the actual chamber section or something like that, where it just feels really kind of turbulent and not very natural at all. So it kind of bothers me. I mean, there's plenty of airflow itself, but overall it just has a weird feel to it, and it's just not something that I like vaping on. So at the end of the day, is this device worth purchasing? Would I go out of my way to pick one of these up if I didn't get this one in for review? I'm going to say no to this one because honestly, there's nothing about it that really just speaks to me. It doesn't scream by me when I look at it, and it just doesn't function as well as I thought it would. So I'm just going to say skip this one if you're just planning on messing around with it. But if you're balling on a budget and you really need 2 devices in one, then maybe give it a go for 25 bucks. So if you guys want to pick one of these up for yourself, I'll leave a link right down there in the description. But that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to click that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, leave me some comments in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Fancier or anything else you guys want to discuss down there. Also, make sure you check out the advocacy and my social media links right down there in the box below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, guys. I do some giveaways on there from time to time. I'm about to do one really, really soon, so check that out right down there in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on. All right, guys, so the random question of the day.